The latest batch of Epstein files are piling more pressure on former royal Sarah Ferguson and her closeness to the convicted sex offender.
Sarah Ferguson has reportedly fled the United Kingdom as newly released Jeffrey Epstein emails drag the disgraced former Duchess back into the spotlight.
On October 17, 2025, in a move that stunned royal observers, Prince Andrew announced that he would no longer use his royal titles, and his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson would also drop hers, marking one of the most dramatic shifts in recent royal history. Meghan didn't just burn her own path with the royal family. She took Prince Andrew down with her. And with a single claim, Sarah Ferguson shattered the calm image Buckingham Palace had been trying to protect for months. In her upcoming tell-all book, already being described by people close to the process as the most damaging royal memoir since Diana's panorama moment, Fergie makes a claim that has stunned the palace. She alleges that Prince Andrew was one of Meghan Markle's first calculated targets, long before the wedding, long before Oprah, and long before the public framed everything as Meghan versus the monarchy. No one expected Fergie to go there, but she did. And that one line sent ripples through every level of the royal household.
I feel that there should be no judgment on any level. I think we should have family unity is so important. I know.
According to sources who have seen private sections of the manuscript, Fergie claims Meghan built relationships around Andrew early on. She allegedly used his access to high-level events, including connections linked to Ron Burkle, to move into elite social circles. The claim goes further, suggesting Meghan used her closeness to the York family as a stepping stone before shifting her focus to Prince Harry. And once Andrew became a risk to her image, she reportedly cut ties without hesitation, widening the gap between the Sussexes and the Yorks, and adding strain to Andrew's already worsening public situation. That allegation alone would have caused outrage. But Fergie kept going. She claims Meghan stopped communicating with the York women, shaped public perception to her advantage, and secretly recorded private conversations inside Royal Lodge. If proven, those claims would seriously damage the public image Meghan has worked hard to build since leaving royal life. Fergie also suggests Meghan attempted to position herself close to Princess Diana's legacy, including pitching a Diana-focused documentary idea through a Hollywood filmmaker before she even joined the royal family. She further claims Meghan's early access to wealthy figures opened doors she later acted as though had never been there. For Buckingham Palace, this is not tabloid chatter. It is being treated as a breach of trust and a direct challenge to the institution's credibility, coming from someone who lived inside royal life for decades. And for Harry, the situation is even worse. Palace staff are working quietly to manage the fallout, but the truth is clear. They never expected Sarah Ferguson to go after Meghan Markle this openly or this forcefully. Fergie is not a commentator or an outsider. She is a former duchess, the mother of 2 princesses, and someone who has seen how the monarchy works from the inside for over 40 years. Her words carry weight, especially now, because she has little left to protect. One senior official described the mood inside the palace this week as outward calm, with frantic activity beneath the surface. The royal family has faced leaks, interviews, documentaries, podcasts, lawsuits, and public criticism. But this is different. This is a direct account from inside the York family, focused on Meghan with detail rather than speculation. The strongest reaction reportedly came from Prince Harry. Multiple insiders say that as soon as early excerpts from Fergie's book surfaced, Harry contacted his legal team. He sent legal warnings through his California lawyers, raised the threat of defamation claims, and demanded the book be stopped before publication. One source described his response as furious, more intense than anything seen since his clash with King Charles in 2021. Another claimed Harry raised his voice during a call with a senior figure at Kensington Palace, accusing the institution of using Fergie as a weapon. Palace staff deny that accusation, but admit that Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie have chosen not to step in or defend their mother publicly. Harry is said to believe the memoir is a coordinated attack backed by the monarchy. Palace officials dismiss that idea, but the tension is real. This time, Harry isn't just angry. He is scared. Unlike newspapers, Fergie knows personal details. Things from before the marriage, before the public battles, before Meghan reshaped her image. These are details Meghan has spent years trying to leave behind. What makes this situation even stranger is Meghan's response. She is not pushing back. Not publicly. Not legally. Not at all in the way people expect. Sources in Montecito describe her as shaken and withdrawn. Nothing like the confident figure who once threatened legal action over royal titles, openly criticized Charles's decisions, and panicked over potential risks to Hollywood deals. This time, Meghan isn't issuing statements or fighting back. She is reportedly crying. She has pulled away. She isn't demanding public support. Instead, she is privately asking Harry why this is happening now and why Fergie is targeting her. Some believe Meghan fears the book will tear apart the outsider narrative she has built. Others think she is worried Fergie may reveal details she never believed would surface, especially those tied to wealthy social circles, private flights, and the networking she did before meeting Harry. Either way, Meghan appears to be leaning into victimhood. But, for once, it doesn't seem planned. It feels raw. And that visible fear has only fueled more speculation. What began as quiet rumors has grown into full chaos. Publishers are reportedly offering Fergie six-figure incentives to include even more detail. Hollywood publicists are scrambling, concerned about Meghan's marketability. Palace staff are preparing backup communication plans. Harry is said to be threatening extreme legal action. And royal insiders are asking what else Fergie may still reveal. Behind closed doors, one question now dominates. If Fergie knows this much, what else does she know? That question is freezing both Buckingham Palace and Montecito in place. And those close to the situation say Fergie is far from finished. Publicly, Buckingham Palace remains silent. Privately, emergency meetings have increased, and nerves are stretched thin. One courtier described the mood in the king's private office the morning after the excerpts leaked. A pen dropped, and no one spoke. It wasn't only the claims themselves, it was the target, the precision, and the timing. King Charles has made no public comment, but insiders confirm he was informed as soon as the manuscript reached legal review. His private secretary, Clive Alderton, reportedly delivered an urgent briefing labeled Ferguson Markle Legacy Risk. While the memo's contents remain confidential, 3 decisions are known. Charles chose not to interfere. He refused to send legal warnings to Fergie. And he instructed palace lawyers to watch closely rather than step in. One aide claims the king said, "If they want to fight each other, let them. We stay out." To those at Clarence House, this was not hesitation. It was calculation. Charles allowed Meghan's reputation to take damage without the palace lifting a finger. No official attacks, no statements, just Fergie speaking freely. It was a cold choice, but not a new one. Charles understands what retaliation can cost, having lived through his own public battles with Diana. This time, he chose silence and distance. While Charles stayed still, Prince William acted quietly. Within 2 days of the leaks, He invited Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie to lunch at Kensington Palace. He also declined an Archewell-linked charity event, where Meghan was scheduled to appear virtually. Most telling of all, William sent Fergie a handwritten note through a trusted aide. Two sources confirm it did not name Meghan directly, but it included a clear message. Truth, when calmly told, can be stronger than noise. Inside the palace, the message was taken as support. William has not forgiven Meghan for the 2021 Oprah interview, nor for the claims of racism that he believes unfairly pulled him and Catherine into the spotlight. Now, with Fergie pulling back the curtain, William isn't intervening. He's watching, waiting, as if he knows Fergie's book might be the opening move in a longer battle. The leak has confirmed what insiders have quietly speculated for years. The palace is effectively divided. On one side, Charles, William, Anne, and the increasingly outspoken Beatrice and Eugenie, who have distanced themselves from Harry and Meghan. On the other, Harry and Meghan, isolated in Montecito, grappling with Fergie's revelations, increasingly seen as commercial risks rather than assets to the crown. Even Andrew, ironically, has stayed silent. Those close to him say he was caught off guard by Fergie's draft, but not shocked. One aide said he laughed once and then went quiet for hours. Some speculate Andrew quietly welcomes any narrative that softens his public image, even if it portrays him as a pawn in Meghan's ambitions. Fergie's team has hinted that the leaked content is only the beginning. Sources close to her publisher confirm there are 2 entire chapters that weren't shared with legal reviewers beforehand. One chapter covers Meghan's connections to a prominent Middle Eastern investor. Another references a 2017 conversation in which Meghan allegedly joked about turning royal protocol into lifestyle content. Hidden in a protected appendix are previously unreleased voice memos and notes from Meghan's early interactions with palace staff, some of which reportedly depict a very different picture than her public persona on Oprah. Hollywood PR teams are closely monitoring the fallout. One anonymous Netflix executive reportedly said, "If even half of Fergie's claims hold up, Meghan's brand pivot will be impossible to maintain." Already, Archewell's planned docuseries is said to be quietly restructured, with producers requesting fewer Meghan-focused segments and a greater emphasis on humanitarian work. Once considered the most influential duchess in the world, insiders now admit Meghan is increasingly seen as a liability. And it all started with Fergie's manuscript. Until last week, Montecito remained calm. The gates of Harry and Meghan's $14 million estate stayed closed. Archewell released carefully curated statements. Meghan was reportedly focused on healing, motherhood, and meaningful projects. There was even talk of building a wellness empire, a reimagined Goop, designed to rival Gwyneth Paltrow. Then the Ferguson manuscript leaked. Within 72 hours, that vision began to unravel. When Meghan first joined the royal family, Hollywood watched with admiration and envy. Now, that admiration has shifted to caution and risk assessment. A Netflix insider said Meghan's lifestyle docuseries is now on hold, pending a reputational reassessment. A Spotify producer allegedly remarked to a colleague, "We gave her a studio. She gave us silence and staged trauma." Fergie's approach was precise. It wasn't just scandalous. It was calculated. She didn't claim vague palace drama. She alleged emotional manipulation. Andrew may have made missteps, but Meghan supposedly exploited them. That accusation, targeted and sharp, implies Meghan leveraged Andrew's scandals to gain leverage within palace negotiations. Whether true or not, it ignited a storm. By doing so, Fergie didn't just call out Meghan. She encouraged others to speak up. And they are. Consider Jason Kanao, the former Kensington Palace press secretary who handled communications for William, Catherine, and briefly Harry and Meghan. He was part of the so-called Palace Four during Meghan's legal battles over privacy violations and accused royal aides. Kunal remained silent until last week. He was spotted leaving a London legal firm specializing in media ethics, libel, and non-disclosure disputes. Hours later, it emerged he's in contact with Penguin Books UK and is preparing a limited memoir that tells his side of the Meghan story. Unlike Meghan, he kept detailed records. What makes this particularly dangerous for Meghan isn't just the press. It's that she no longer controls the narrative. When Charles stripped their Sussex titles, Meghan went on the offensive with lawyer statements, op-eds, and public messaging, all within 72 hours, presenting herself as the misunderstood victim of an outdated institution. Now, she has gone quiet. No legal threats toward Fergie. No rebuttals, no interviews, nothing. Even Meghan's closest allies, usually quick to defend her on social media or in tabloids, remain silent. A friend told The Times she feels cornered, overwhelmed, and worried that speaking out could make things worse. While Meghan stays quiet, Harry is reportedly furious. Multiple reports indicate he demanded an internal review of Fergie's manuscript. He tried to call his father, but Charles refused, telling an Archewell staffer, "They can't just lie about my wife and call it memoir." Sources say Harry considered defamation action, but advisors warned that a lawsuit would trigger discovery, potentially revealing even more damaging material. One insider said, Harry thinks Fergie betrayed Diana's memory, but no one in the family is backing him, not even Eugenie. Even his once close cousin has gone silent. That silence hurts most of all. For the first time in years, Harry is truly alone. Privately, Meghan is reportedly weighing a dramatic response, a full Oprah-style interview, this time without Harry. Her advisors are split. Some argue one final emotional appeal could reset the narrative. Others warn it could worsen matters, especially if Fergie responds. One thing is clear. Meghan is running out of allies. The palace won't protect her. The media is circling, and her brand, once wrapped in royal mystique, is now under scrutiny. Past midnight in Montecito, the house was quiet except for the glow of Meghan's phone. Messages kept arriving. Lawyers, former friends, and Hollywood executives who once hailed her as a rising star with a crown. Tonight, the tone was different. One word kept repeating: clarify. No warmth, no loyalty, just a demand for answers. Earlier that evening, a confidential development deal memo, reportedly signed between Archewell and a major streaming platform, was leaked to the Daily Telegraph. The headline read, "Exclusive. Meghan Markle's secret docu-series deal built on untold truths of royal women." Buried in the memo was a chilling clause. The narrative may touch on intergenerational trauma, maternal displacement, and psychological suppression, particularly after 1997. Most insiders understood the code, Diana. Even worse, a second clause referenced the reintegration of scandal-marked royals, widely seen as a critique of Prince Andrew, using him as an example of power, consequence, and privilege. It was everything Fergie had warned about. That night, as Meghan scrolled through damage control drafts, her phone buzzed with a name she hadn't seen in months: Tyler Perry. The man who offered them refuge after leaving the royal family, providing his home, his plane, and his platform. This time, his voice was not warm. According to someone close to Meghan, Tyler told her respectfully that he could not be involved in any project that might re-traumatize Diana's legacy or turn her memory into a tool for current disputes. In other words, he was stepping back. Even Perry's team later released a careful, vague statement to Variety, emphasizing their respect for all mothers who have faced public tragedy, without mentioning Meghan by name. To Meghan, it felt like betrayal. But to everyone else, it marked the start of her protective barrier breaking down. Across the Atlantic, William and Catherine's response was just as sharp, though wordless. Sources confirmed the Prince and Princess of Wales declined to comment, even as Meghan's name trended for 5 days straight. Inside the palace, there was no confusion. A leaked memo from a Kensington aide described the couple's mood as resolute, protective, and past the point of diplomacy. One former courtier said plainly, if Meghan thought Catherine would intervene or William would hold back, she completely misread the shift in power. They're not reacting, they're rebuilding. Adding fuel to the fire was the ongoing Gabriel controversy. While the world was still processing Fergie's accusations, insiders confirmed that the name Gabriel had been chosen without Camilla's knowledge and had been registered on official documents weeks earlier, intentionally kept off the books to prevent leaks. William had quietly consulted his father, King Charles, but left Camilla out entirely. In an unexpected twist, Catherine reportedly sent Camilla a private letter containing just one chilling line. Some names carry peace. Others remind us why peace is so rare. It was the first direct contact since the Orchid Garden incident in Singapore. According to palace aides, Camilla has refused to acknowledge the letter, but has remained at Windsor. Meghan's options are limited. She could stay silent indefinitely, hoping public attention wanes. She could cancel the project entirely, sacrificing months of work and potential earnings. Or she could go all in, telling her side of the story, knowing it might permanently close doors within royal circles. Her team is divided. Some believe she may abandon Hollywood, focusing instead on a boutique brand centered on wellness, motherhood, and healing. But a former Archewell staffer offered a different view. Meghan isn't finished. She's regrouping, aware now that any next move will have to be decisive. The question is whether Harry will follow. The meeting was scheduled under a false name. Sources familiar with the booking say Harry arrived at the Sunset Tower Hotel in West Hollywood just before 9 p.m., using the alias W. Spencer. He wasn't there for drinks. He was there for assistance. Inside the private dining room were 3 senior consultants from Randall & Sloane, a crisis PR firm known for salvaging reputations on the verge of collapse. Their clients had included CEOs caught in scandals, Hollywood producers post-cancellation, and a well-known Silicon Valley founder who had fled to Dubai. Harry's goal wasn't revenge, he wanted rescue. An insider said Harry's tone combined frustration and fear. Meghan's situation, he admitted, was slipping out of control, not only in the press, but among the power brokers who once supported them. He asked the consultants to draft a plan to restore public favor, positioning them not as victims, but as protectors of Diana's legacy, which others had misused. In other words, he wanted to turn the narrative. Fergie as the instigator, Catherine as an unwilling pawn caught between warring queens. Randall & Sloane made one thing clear. This strategy would only work if Meghan completely disengaged. No leaks, no memoir hints, no interviews, no dramatic appearances in gardens. Silence was her only chance to rebrand. Harry reportedly didn't respond immediately, but just before leaving, his phone lit up with a message from Meghan. The implication was clear. She wasn't ready to retreat quietly. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Sarah Ferguson wasn't slowing down. If anything, she was accelerating. After her viral remarks suggesting Andrew had been manipulated by a young woman who knew the media better than the monarchy, Fergie appeared unexpectedly on a panel at a literary conference in Bath. Her headline making, quote, There's a difference between being silenced and knowing when to speak. I stayed quiet for 20 years. Audience members said she seemed calm, focused, and prepared. Later that day, her team shared a cryptic post on her official social account. An old press clipping from 1997 with the headline, "Mystery Call to Diana Hours Before Paris." No caption, no context, but it was enough. Online speculation surged that Fergie was hinting at a deeper story, one in which Diana may have been trying to warn someone or reveal something that night. Some even suggested Meghan might be attempting to revive or exploit that unfinished narrative. A palace aide reportedly said, "Sarah doesn't bluff. If she says she's been holding back, everyone should be very concerned about what's in that archive." Amid all the chaos, one figure remained untouched: Princess Catherine. No statements, no interviews, no response to Fergie, Gabriel, or Meghan's public troubles. Insiders say her silence is deliberate, not passive. One insider explained, "The victim story only works if people still want to hear it." Right now, attention has shifted elsewhere. Meanwhile, an unassuming envelope resurfaced. Cream-colored parchment, a red wax seal, and a note in looping black ink addressed to D. Spencer, marked to be opened only if the past returned in disguise. It had been kept since 1997, stored not just in a secure room at Kensington Palace, but also in the memory of Diana's former protection officer, Mark Sutherland, now retired. Sutherland had stayed fiercely loyal to the late princess. He never gave interviews or signed memoir deals, yet multiple sources say he reached out to William directly this past month. Why? Meghan had crossed a line, and Fergie's sudden mention of the final call before Paris had reopened discussions no one wanted to revisit. Inside the envelope was a single sheet of paper. Diana had handwritten a brief note expressing fear, not of the public or media, but of something deeper. "They will try to erase me through others. They will dress her in my colors, give her my charm, use my legacy to clear their names. But my son will know the difference." William's response was short. He passed the letter to Catherine without a word. The next morning, plans were finalized for a private royal legacy summit at Sandringham, with 3 attendees invited: Princess Anne, Lady Sarah Chatto, niece of Queen Elizabeth II and close confidant of Diana, and William. "We cannot inherit shame from battles we never chose," she said, according to a palace source. "But we can claim clarity. Diana cannot be rewritten, neither by Netflix nor by California." Those present were stunned. Louise, the usually silent Windsor, had chosen her side. Later that day, Kensington Palace quietly approved new branding protocols for the Duchy of Cornwall, the Wales family's charitable initiatives, and the UN Global Peace portfolio Catherine would soon lead. At the same time, a strategic soft freeze was applied to any associations, invitations, or collaborations between the royal household and Harry and Meghan's team. Despite public narratives of reconciliation, there would be no Christmas invitations, no appearances at anniversaries, no shared memorials, no Easter walkabouts, not even private photos with the Cambridge children. Perhaps most symbolic, Meghan's official biography was moved to an archived affiliates page on the Royal UK website, an action not seen since Prince Andrew's final withdrawal. When asked, the palace offered a single-line statement. The website reflects the current structure of working royal engagements. Court reporters understood this was the final word. Days later, in a quiet Montecito neighborhood, a black car pulled into a gated estate. Inside was a freelance producer, reportedly hired not by Netflix or Spotify, but by a European distributor working on a docuseries titled Legacy Wars, Inside Royal Power. Meghan agreed to a closed-room, camera-only segment. No interviewer, no questions, just her monologue. But something unexpected happened. According to leaked crew notes, Meghan broke down off-camera and refused to finish the shoot, muttering, "They'll twist this too. It's not even mine anymore." And indeed, none of it was. The distributor quietly canceled the episode. Meghan hasn't been seen in public since. Back in London, as Catherine finalized tour wardrobes and prepared speeches for the Vatican, Jordan, and South Africa, a new symbol was embossed across diplomatic folders and briefings. The conjugal coat of arms of William and Catherine now displayed the unified symbols of their houses, their children, and Diana's scalloped shell rising between them. Beneath it, the motto, "I serve." Palace aides noticed a second motto discreetly added to a private set of internal documents. A nod, perhaps, to a mother's warning and a future queen's steady commitment. Fergie now quietly tours with a book, watching Parliament for a potential legacy bill on royal press protections. Harry negotiates damages with a British tabloid, now without palace legal guidance. Meghan remains silent, fading, and Catherine, calm, continues unshaken. Because the war didn't end with an interview. It ended with a name, a crest, and a refusal to respond to provocation with panic. Sometimes that alone is enough, and that's how the royal legacy battle quietly unfolded behind closed doors. With history, power, and family all on the line, one has to wonder, how much of what we see in public is really the full story?